It was kind of bad.
Many of you, the ones of you who are seniors anyway, remember your first poem learned here at St. Martin's. You may recite with me if you can. A western wind when wilt thou blow, small rain down and rain. Christ of my love were in my arms, and I in my bed again. That was a little weak, but it shows some signs that you've retained for 4 years, at least one of the poems that we memorized. One of the things we value highly here at St. Martin's is poetry. And I think in all your humanities classes, you've memorized some poems this year. That poetry, insofar as our soul has three faculties, we have a will, and we have an intellect, and we have a
memory.
Memory, very good. Insofar as the soul is immortal, the memories you carry with you now will be with you in eternity, God willing. I don't know how God chooses to sort out our memories once we die, but our memory will be with us not just in this life, but forever. And so what you put into your memory is extremely valuable. Perhaps from a moral sense, but also for the sense of beauty, for the sense of having great beauty in your soul, which is what we all desire for our students, for all of you. This time will very shortly, I estimate within an hour, be bestowed upon one of the worthy recipients.
The Day is Done by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The day is done, and darkness falls from the wings of night, as a feather is wafted downward from an eagle in his flight. I see the lights of the village gleam through the rain and the mist, and a feeling of sadness comes o'er me that my soul cannot resist. A feeling of sadness and longing that is not akin to pain, and resembles sorrow only as the mist resembles the rain. Come read to me some poem, some simple and heartfelt lay, that shall soothe this restless feeling and banish the thoughts of day. Not from the grand old masters, not from the bards sublime, whose distant footsteps echo through the corridors of time. For like strains of martial music, their mighty thoughts suggest life's endless toil and endeavor, and tonight I long for rest. Read from some humbler poet, whose songs gush from his heart, as showers from the clouds of summer, or tears from the eyelids start. Who through long days of labor and nights devoid of ease, still heard in his soul the music of wonderful melodies. Such songs have power to quiet the restless pulse of care, and come like the benediction that follows after prayer. Then read from the treasured volume the poem of thy choice, and lend to the rhyme of the poet the beauty of thy voice. And the night shall be filled with music, and the cares that infest the day shall fold their tents like the Arabs, and as silently steal away.
The World is Too Much With Us by William Wordsworth. The world is too much with us. Late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We've given our hearts away, a sordid boon. This sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours, and are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. It moves us not. Great God, I'd rather be a pagan, suckled in a creed outworn. So might I, standing on this pleasant lea, have glimpses that would make me less forlorn. Have sight of Proteus rising from the sea, or hear old Triton blow his wreathed horn.
The tuft of flowers. I went to turn the grass once after one, who mowed it in the dew before the sun. The dew was gone that made his blade so keen, before I came to view that leveled scene. I looked for him behind an aisle of trees, and I listened for his whetstone on the breeze. But he had gone his way, the grass all mown, and I must be as he had been, alone. As all must be, I said within my heart, whether they work together or apart. But as I said it, swift there passed me by, on soundless wing, a wildered butterfly, seeking with memories grown dim overnight, some resting flower of yesterday's delight. And once I'd marked his flight go round and round, as where some flower lay withering on the ground. And then he flew as far as I could see, and then on soundless wing came back to me. I thought of questions that have no reply, and would have turned to toss the grass to dry, but he turned first and led my eye to look at a tall tuft of flowers beside a brook. A long tongue of bloom the scythe had spared, beside a reedy brook the scythe had spared. I left my place to know them by their name, finding them butterfly weed when I came. The mower in the dew loved them thus, leaving them to flourish not for us, nor to lead any thought of ours to him, but from sheer morning gladness at the brim. The butterfly and I had lit upon, nevertheless, a message from the dawn. It made me hear the wakening birds around and hear his long scythe whispering to the ground. And feel a spirit kindred to my own, so that henceforth I worked no more alone. And glad with him, I worked as with his aid, and weary sought at noon with him the shade. And dreaming as it were, held brotherly speech with one whose thoughts I had not hoped to reach. Men work together, I told him from the heart, whether they work together or apart.
Enemies by Wendellberry. If you are not to become a monster, you must care what they think. If you care what they think, how will you not hate them, and so become a monster of the opposite kind? From where then is love to come? Love for your enemy, that is the way of liberty. From forgiveness, forgiven they go, free of you and you of them. They are to you as sunlight on a green branch. You must not think of them again, except as monsters like yourself. Pitiable because unforgiving.
Love Calls Us to Things of This World by Richard Wilbur. The eyes open to a cry of pulleys, and spirited from sleep, the astounded soul hangs for a moment, bodiless and simple as false dawn. Outside the open window, the morning air is all awash with angels. Some are in bedsheets, and some are in blouses. Some are in smocks, but truly there they are. Now they are rising together in the calm swells of hazel feeling, filling whatever they wear with the deep joy of their impersonal breathing. Now they are flying in place, conveying the terrible speed of their omnipresence, moving and staying like white water. And now, of a sudden, they swoon into so rapt a quiet that nobody seems to be there. The soul shrinks from all that is about to remember, from the punctual rape of every blessed day, and cries, "Oh, let there be nothing on earth but laundry, nothing but rosy hands in the rising steam, and clear dances done in the sight of heaven." Yet, as the sun acknowledges with a warm look the world's hunks and colors, the soul descends once more in bitter love to accept the waking body, saying now, in a changed voice, as the man yawns and rises, "Bring them down from their ruddy gallows. Let there be clean linen for the backs of thieves, and lovers go fresh and sweet to be undone, and the heaviest nuns walk in a pure floating of dark habits, keeping their difficult balance."
The Time I've Lost in Wooing by Thomas More. The time I've lost in wooing, in watching and pursuing the light that lies in woman's eyes, has been my heart's undoing. Though wisdom oft has sought me, I scorned the lore she brought me. My only books were woman's looks, and folly's all they've taught me. Her smile, when beauty granted, I hung with gaze enchanted, like him, the sprite whom maids by night oft met in glen that's haunted. like him to beauty won me, but while her eyes are on me, if once their ray was turned away, oh, winds could not outrun me. And are those follies going? And is my proud heart growing too cold or wise for brilliant eyes again to set it glowing? No, vain, alas, thine endeavor from bonds so sweet to sever. Poor wisdom's chance, against to glance, is now as weak as ever.
Sonnet 29 by William Shakespeare. When in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes, I, all alone, buoyed my outcast state, in trouble with deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with uttermost in joy contended least. Yet, in these thoughts myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings.
A Barred Owl by Richard Wilbur. The warping night air, having brought the boom of an owl's voice into her darkened room, we tell the wakened child that all she heard was an odd question from a forest bird, asking of us, if rightly listened to, who cooks for you? And then, who cooks for you? Words, which can make our terrors bravely clear, can also thus domesticate a fear, and send a small child back to sleep at night, not listening for the sound of stealthy flight, or dreaming of some small thing in claw, borne up to some dark branch, and eaten raw.
The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler. Long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet, knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.